Hello, students. In the last video, we just kind of discussed some definitions, what a difference of squares is, and we talked about what it is for what a perfect square is, how to recognize what difference of squares look like, and we basically just talked about the formula for factoring a difference of squares. So this is part two of that first video, and we're just going to look at a few examples. So let's say that we're looking at this example here, and let's say that you're asked to factor x squared minus 49. And so again, in the previous video, we looked at how to identify whether or not something was a difference of squares. And we said that if you could write it in this form, okay, where you have something squared minus something squared, then it is indeed a difference of squares. So the first thing that you want to see if you can do is see if you can write it in that form, okay? And so again, for this part with the variable, to get this part here, just divide that exponent by 2. So again, inside here, you'll have x to the first power. And what number squared will give you 49? Again, if you just take the square root of 49, you will get that. And so that is 7. Okay. So again, that first step there was rewriting it in that form. So after you've rewritten your expression in this form, the a squared minus b squared, you want to make sure that you identify what the a is and what the b is in the expression. So if you already have it in this form, it should be fairly easy to identify exactly which part is representing the a. A equals x, and the b in this expression is equal to 7. So now that we've identified what a and b are in this expression, what we need to do is we need to rewrite, or we need to write this expression as the two factors. Remember in the last video, I explained that the formula for factoring a difference of squares is this one here. So if you have it written in this form, then the difference of squares or the factors for a difference of squares will be written as a plus b times a minus b. So again, if you would use that formula, the a plus b times a minus b, and again, now that we do know exactly what a is and what b is, because we've identified it already, all we have to do is replace a and b in this formula. So again, since we know that a is x, we'll write x, and we know that b is 7, we'll replace that there. So that should say x plus 7, and this part here, of course, will be x minus 7. So again, here we have written this as the two factors of the difference of squares. All right, so let's look at another example here. In this one, we are factoring 100 minus 16x squared. So again, the first thing that we want to do is rewrite our expression in the form a squared minus b squared. All right, so remember, guys, that you can take the square root of this number. Okay, and so the square root of that number is 100, or sorry, square root of 100 is 10. And so you can also take the square root of this constant. Square root of 16 is 4. And remember what you do with the exponent. If it's an even exponent, to get it written in the proper form, all you have to do is divide that exponent by 2, and that's what goes in the inside the parentheses there. So this is 4x to the first power there. Okay, so now that we have it written in this form, the a squared minus b squared, we make sure that we identify what a is and what b is. Again, in this form, if you're writing it out like this, you should be able to see the part that's inside the parentheses. That's a, so a is 10, and then you should be able to see here that the part inside the parentheses here for b is 4x. So next, we want to make sure that we use that formula. So the formula is a squared minus b squared, and for the two factors, that's going to be equal to a plus b times a minus b. So again, we know now that this should be us replacing the a and the b in this expression here. So that should be 10 plus 4x times 10 minus 4x. Because again, all you have to do is use this formula and just replace the a with 10 and replace the b with 4a and 4x. All right, so we're going to look at one last little example. And so you may see something like this on your final exam. This looks a little bit more complicated, but again, you may see something like this on your final exam for that. So let's see here. Remember that when we're factoring a difference of squares, first we want to see if we can write it in that form of something squared minus something squared. A squared minus b squared. And so again, to figure that out, remember you can take the square root of those numbers. Like the square root of 9 is 3, right? And you can divide the exponent by 2. Okay, so that'll be x to the 4th power that goes there if you divide the exponent by 2. Okay, and then for the other one, remember you can take the square root of that constant number, take the square root of 361, that gives you 19. And then of course you can divide the exponent by 2, which makes that x. Okay, so now with it written in that form, again, it should be pretty easy to identify what a and b is. If you have it written in that form, in the first parentheses, what we have there, that's a. So a is 3x to the 4th, and that second parentheses there, that is b. That is 19x. So we know a and b is that, and now we just use our formula, the a squared minus b squared, that difference of squared form. And when we write out the two factors will be in the form of a plus b times a minus b. And all we have to do is just replace our a and our b with what we said they were. So again, we know that a and b, and so now we're just going to write that in. So when we write out our two factors, replacing our a and b, this will be 3x to the 4th plus 19x times 3x to the 4th minus 19x. And these are our two factors for the difference of squares. I do hope that this video has been helpful to you guys. Again, you've noticed my mask probably coming on and off. When it's on, that's because I have guests in the room and we have to follow our safety guidelines. So have a good one.